The morning started like any other. I grabbed my coffee, loaded the kids into the car, and drove toward the school, listening to the muffled chatter of cartoons in the back seat. I had mentally prepared for the day, unaware that it would quickly turn into one I would never forget. I pulled up to the school parking lot, scanning for a spot. That's when I saw them, my ex-wife. And right beside her, the man she married after leaving me. The one who had spent the past year quietly building a life I wasn't allowed to see. They weren't just waiting. They were standing together in the middle of the lot, smiling at the chaos of morning traffic like they owned the world. I froze for a second, gripping the steering wheel. My heart pounded, but I didn't panic. Not yet. I had learned over the past year that she thrived on reaction, and I refused to give her that satisfaction. I pulled into a spot across from them, trying to appear calm. The kids noticed first. "Mom!" one shouted, excitedly waving. I forced a smile. "Just wait a minute," I said, trying to shield them from the tension I could already feel radiating off her. She noticed me immediately, and her smile sharpened. That predatory, self-assured smile, the one I remembered from our marriage, the one that made me feel small at times, the one I'd spent months learning to ignore. Her new husband's eyes flicked to me next. I could see the calculation there, not subtle at all. He wanted me to flinch, to stammer, to look inferior, to give him a story worth bragging about later. I didn't. I stepped out of the car, coffee in hand, deliberately unhurried. I greeted her politely, the faintest trace of civility in my voice. "Good morning?" She tilted her head, surprised I wasn't trembling, and then smirked. "You're punctual," she said. "I didn't expect you here." "I always am," I replied casually. The new husband stepped forward, extending a hand like he had a right to introduce himself properly. "I'm glad we finally meet," he said, voice smooth, dripping with condescension. I shook his hand firmly. "Likewise." The moment stretched longer than necessary. Children were spilling out of cars, parents shouting for attention, but for me, time slowed. I noticed everything, the way he stood, trying to dominate space, the way she subtly glanced at me, looking for a reaction. Then came the first test. She asked innocently, "So, how have you been?" I smiled faintly. "Better than ever. Busy, fulfilled, happy." Her expression faltered. Not with anger, not with jealousy, but with surprise. She hadn't expected that. She had expected bitterness, perhaps desperation. She didn't get it. He tried to regain control. "Must be nice," he said, smirking. "Having so much free time, huh?" I leaned casually against my car. "I don't need free time to be happy," I said. "I need peace. And that's something I finally have." Their smiles wavered. The ambush wasn't working. They hadn't accounted for this. The kids were getting out, looking between the adults, sensing the tension. I crouched down, grabbing their backpacks and gently helping them out of the car. Their small hands in mine reminded me why I had stayed calm. They weren't involved in this battle. They never should have been. She tried one more jab. "You always think you're so strong," she said, her voice tight. "But life has a way of humbling people." I stood tall, meeting her gaze. "Strength isn't about what life throws at you. It's about how you respond. And I choose to respond with clarity, not chaos." The new husband's jaw tightened. He realized then that he couldn't intimidate me, that whatever ego boost he was hunting for was out of reach. For the first time that morning, she hesitated. Her practiced words, her rehearsed smirks, faltered. She glanced at him, silently questioning whether this display would look as impressive in their victory story as she had imagined. I turned to the kids. "Ready?" I asked softly. They nodded, smiling, oblivious to the adult games being played. I scooped up their hands, leading them toward the school entrance. As we walked, I glanced back. They were still there, standing in the lot. She watched me go, He said nothing. Their ambush had failed. Their attempt to unsettle me, to remind me of past humiliation, had completely backfired. That morning, I realized something important. Betrayal, abandonment, and arrogance only have the power you give them. By standing calm, measured, and self-assured, I had taken control back without raising my voice or giving them the satisfaction of seeing me crumble. And maybe that was the most important lesson. Later that week, I reflected on what had happened. I hadn't confronted them publicly. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't exposed her lies. I had simply shown up, present, composed, and unshaken. That was more powerful than any confrontation could have been. Because power isn't always about retaliation. Sometimes it's about showing up in your own life fully, even when someone else hopes you won't. I had survived their ambush. I had protected my children. I had reclaimed my peace. And walking away, without looking back, I realized that their need to humiliate me had no hold over the life I was now building for myself.